has done that. We believe that as a party, we should be able to increase education, accessibility, and roads and transportation, and all the other things. We should be able to do that without the federal funds. And part of that is making sure that we run government-run business. Shouldn't be to the point where you pay people for getting on Facebook or whatnot. A lot of that is the current situation in government. Streamline it, make it accessible to people at the door, make sure that we are cohesive and a fully functioning organization, and just get rid of waste. That's part of the reason why we have so many budget overruns, because there's simply too much waste in the budget right now. And I don't know, Josh, do you want to take this?
The only other thing that I want to add about Bob McDonald is he was able to give us a budget surplus without cutting taxes. And he did so by making opportunities available for businesses who want to come here and create jobs, such as in Northern Virginia or the Hampton Roads. And the main example I can point to is Northrop Grumman is moving their headquarters from California to Virginia because of pro-business and low taxes that Bob McDonald has proposed.
And that's jobs for students, by the way.
The question was, what should gubernatorial candidates propose, not what should the Virginia governor propose to do, to balance their state budgets if they're going to come into office as the stimulus money ends.
It's the same situation, whether they're currently elected or running for office. It doesn't really matter which office they're running for. Cutting the waste, getting rid of the bureaucracy, making sure it's transparent to the people, and making sure that we get rid of the excess. It's just as simple as that. That's what the Republican Party believes in, and we believe that in doing so, we create a better fiscal house for all of us, whether that's state, local, or even top-down, federal. We should be able to do that, and it's something that needs to happen.
You have still a few seconds remaining if you let us continue.
I believe that economic stimulation will only be brought forth through private enterprise, increasing the private sector's hiring through ensuring that market conditions. In order to do this, we have to prove that the government is conducive to increasing market value and creating stability within the state. Also, we must increase employment by allowing the small businesses of the state to hire again by decreasing certain state regulation.
Let me just add before we have time that the Democratic alternative, Keynesianism, which is an economic thing, pumping more money by taking away from citizens and the waste and excess and the New Deal. That is good. We promote Austrian economics. We promote spending what we already have.
Obviously, we have 50 states, so we got 50 different problems for every single one. So I'm not going to recommend a solution for every single gubernatorial candidate. But the simplest way, and it is no question that our state governments are hurting the most from this economic recession. States like California, for instance, are completely hard hit, facing 30% budget deficits, facing 30% hikes in tuition. The easiest way to solve the budget crises of our state houses across this nation is to have this economy recover, is to create jobs, and is to have a nationwide economic growth, such so that we can actually increase revenues into the state. So this is not just a state problem. This might be a question about state governments. This is a federal question, which is to how can we recover the economy. So first, I want to rebut this point about Keynesian economics. A Princeton University study has determined that the stimulus package, which injected all this money into our state governments, into our local governments, the only reason our tuition did not go up more than 10% over the last 2 years is because of extra stimulus money coming in, is that the stimulus has saved over 8 million jobs. The stimulus has prevented us from falling into a depression by stimulating spending, by stimulating growth in the economy, and the economy itself has turned around. The job market might be lagging behind, but economic growth is starting to appear. We're starting to see green shoots coming out of the snow. So the easiest way, the only way, to solve the budget crisis in our state governments is not to start cutting waste, which is the universal solution. But really, how much waste is there to cut? It's to get the economy moving again. The only way to do that is through the stimulus. It is continuing the successful economic policies of Obama and rejecting the failed policies of Bush. I want to quickly go to the point about North Grumman, which was that the North Grumman deal did not happen without government intervention. This was not simply the free market coming on in. This was Fairfax County up and up giving these guys tax incentives. I mean, there was government incentive to get these 800 jobs. And while you can get more deal here and there, get 400 jobs here, 400 jobs there, 400 jobs there, it is no substitute for continuing to get this economy moving again. And that's the only way that our state governments are going to recover, because they have they fall under the federal.
I just also want to point out that Northrop Grumman almost didn't come here. They almost came to Maryland. They also went to Maryland because Virginia, while it may have a lot of pro-business policies, the anti-gay policies of the Commonwealth of Virginia almost prevented Northrop Grumman from coming here because they knew that a lot of their employees that it wouldn't be satisfactory, that those policies would not be satisfactory to them. I wanted to comment also on Michael's comment that government should be run like a business. Personally, that statement horrifies me because you look at what happened during this financial crisis. All these businesses taking all these risky loans. I'm sorry.
I would say that yes, in order to solve the state budget crisis, we need to increase revenue. But the major difference between our two parties is how we are going to increase revenue. The Democrats' plan is to increase revenue by higher taxes. However, our solution is to lower business taxes so that more jobs can be created, meaning more income taxes will be paid.
And I would also like to add on to the statement. Also, the Obama administration clearly overlooked and poorly planned the use of stimulus money, and the administration itself predicted the worst case scenario if stimulus has not been in place. Unemployment would rise to 8%. With the stimulus bill in place, unemployment actually rose to 10.2% according to the Office of Budget and Management.
And just so everybody knows, he was a great point about California. But in terms of business structure, it's really not the greatest state. Case in point would be a recent city African.
Just one quick thing on taxation. The top 1% pays 30% of our taxes. The middle pays about a quarter to 0.5% of our taxes. They control, the top 1% controls 190 times our wealth, and they pay 60 to 120 times the taxes. So they actually control more wealth than they pay in taxes. They don't pay an equal tax rate to the rest of us. Warren Buffett offered $1 million to anybody on the Fortune 500 who could prove that they paid a higher tax rate than their secretary. No one took him up on his offer because none of them paid higher tax rates. And then I'm going to pass it on.
The other thing about taxes, that, yeah, as you said, the current upper tax rate with the Bush tax cuts is about 33–36%. If that was to expire, those Bush tax cuts for the wealthies were to expire, that would bring it up to 39%, which would be the same level of the Clinton administration. I remember a lot of jobs being created under that administration.
The final point is that part of the
Okay, the former question was intended to be have the Democrats go first. But we mistakenly had the Republicans go first, and we're going to go back and forth.
I call bias.
So this one's going to start with the Democrats. And to make up for it, the next one also Democrats, and then we're going to go back. Next two for the Democrats, and then to the Republicans.
Should the 14th Amendment regarding citizenship be amended? Why or why not?
I would say,
Yes.
I would say not, because the 14th Amendment has served us well in the past. Saying that all these amendments due to some minor flaw might be up for debate is a bad idea. Basically, the 14th Amendment says the reason we want to amend it is basically to say that people born here aren't citizens here. This is the greatest thing about America, is that regardless